Metanomics is brought to you by Remedy Communications and Doosan Writers Metaverse.
Okay, and another book was Jane Jacobhs' The Death and Life of Great American Cities. And what I understand, that was actually influential, not just in behind-the-scenes work, but in how they viewed Second Life, the architecture of Second Life itself.
Yes, and that's an incredibly important book. It's a famous book. I recommend it to anyone. It's really one of the great works about urbanism in the 20th century. And Jane Jacobs, basically, or at the end of the 50s, early 60s, is castigating people trying to engage in intentional urban planning, top-down urban planning, all of that which gave us differently zoned areas and the separation of things into industrial, commercial, and residential and housing projects and all the rest. And she says the reason why New York is such a fantastic city is because it wasn't planned in this way. So much of it was accidental. So much of it was catch-as-catch-can, contingent overlays of different kinds of initiatives at different points in its history, and these various arrivals of these different populations who settle in different areas just because they happen to be available. So what she's arguing is that the vibrancy of an urban community, of a city, depends to a great extent on its inefficiency, on the way that people forced to walk from their apartment 2 blocks to a subway station are likely to pass a whole row of stores and see a new flower shop that they didn't know was there before. They're likely to encounter that which they might not otherwise set out to encounter if they were allowed to choose to get to work as efficiently as possible. Now, this informed Linden Lab in interesting ways. On the one hand, Jacob sounds like she's kind of like Malone and Surowiecki, because she's saying that these kind of not intentionally designed features are the things we like. But there's much more of an attention to history for Jacobs, much more of an attention to the specificities of what were these groups, where did they come from, what was the story here that unfolded over time. It isn't about trying to find a way to get a whole bunch of people to vote, kind of like in the chess ranking thing, in order to tap into the wisdom of crowds. No, it's more about what history can generate. Sometimes, maybe if we're lucky. Now, what Linden Lab takes from that book, interestingly, is the argument for telehubs. That if you force people, you let them teleport from everywhere, but you force them to arrive at certain locations, then in their travel from that location, not only will that location be a place where things build up, which is very important, in the travel from that location to where they want to go, they will encounter the contingent, encounter the things that they would not have otherwise set out to encounter. So that insight from Jane Jacobs informed a lot of the ways that Linden Lab set about to try and contrive social vibrancy in Second Life. And the telehubs were part of that effort.